You are looking at the sun shining down on homegrown practical aquaponics. The reason why the sun is important is because the sun is for free, and the sun is what drives our aquaponic systems. At HPA we've developed systems in South Africa where aquaponics systems for household use, fairly small units, can be driven purely using solar and without any requirements for Eskom, which makes the cost of running such a setup very affordable and also independent of Eskom with the power cuts that we're experiencing in the country. So perhaps let me take you through a little bit of how HPA's system, the systems that we've got running here, are operating. Essentially, we've got a 6-bed system which has been running for about 4 years. This 6-bed system has got narrow beds on the one side with a variety of plants, and the water from this system draining directly back via bell siphons into the fish tank, which is situated at the end of the system. Again, we've gone with a fairly robust but not expensive infrastructure built with timber and with shade cloth. No plastic involved, because we want to encourage as much free movement of air as we possibly can. So you can see plants are growing absolutely beautifully, loving it in the system. So the water draining back from the system, having been filtered through the gravel media, flows back to the fish tank. Pump is situated in the middle of the tank. The pump is pumping on the side that you've just seen, directly back to the fish tank through the filters. On this side, it's pumping through larger grow beds, which are 1.2 by 1.2 meter HPA grow beds, recently installed. So we have 3 grow beds on this side and 3 grow beds on the other side, the narrow ones on the one side and the wide ones on the other. The water flowing back from the beds on this side, in this bed, which is just starting to flush right now, is flowing back into the fish tank from this bed. But on these 2 beds, the water that comes from these 2 beds flows out around the back. I'll show you very quickly, through a pipe which is hidden at the moment, and then goes down to the raft systems. The raft systems feed back directly to the fish tank by gravity. So we have 1 pump running these 6 beds and 2 rafts. The fish tank is sunken, and the grow beds are standing on legs on a slab. These plants I planted last week, having established the system about a month ago, and have been cycling it since then just to establish the microbes in the system. So that is the fairly large commercial system, or semi-commercial system, which would very happily be able to produce an income for a family or an individual or someone that's interested in funding himself in some way, producing food, vegetables that are untouched by chemicals of any kind ever. No chemicals of any kind ever used, no fertilizer, no herbicides, no pesticides, no fungicides. These plants grow completely on their own and are healthy simply because they are optimally irrigated and optimally fed through the waste that's coming from the fish. The fish in the tank are producing waste, and the waste is coming in through the grow bed. The grow bed media filters the solids, and the water goes back to the fish absolutely clean. So that's the one system. We then have a second system, which is a smaller system based on a 1-bed media bed, 1.2 by 1.2 by 400 millimeter grow bed, which is linked to 3 rafts the 3 rafts are the similar configuration to the beds on the right hand side, the media beds. And the reason we have 3 rafts is because they create the sump for the fish tank in this case. So this one bed, the water drains from the one bed down into this raft on the right hand side, through an aperture into the raft on the second side, and back, and then back into the third one. And you can see the lettuce growing very happily on that. We have 1 pump in the system as well, and 1 small aeration plant, and it's run on a control box which has a thermostat, a timer and a thermometer, amongst all the other switchgear that's inside there. So pretty much this little system, the water is running, driven by 1 pump through a small fish tank, in this case a 500 litre JoJo tank, and which is overflowing. I'll turn that down, and from there coming back to the, just going to adjust this down slightly, going back to the grow bed and through the fish tank back down into the raft. So to clarify how this system works, this is a chop, I'm going to call it a chop 3 system, because it's I think it's the third. I've added our dimensions onto this from the conventionally known chop 2 system, and in this system the tank is not submerged. The tank is above the ground. The water is being pumped by 1 pump, constant height, 1 pump, chop. The Mark 3 is one where the water flows up from the pump, is split into 3 in this case. The first line goes directly back to the grow bed. The second line goes to a solar water heater, series of solar water heater panels, and then back to the outlet, which just drains straight back into the tank. So we have a loop where the water goes from the pump through the solar water heaters and back to the tank, and that's doing nothing other than warming the water. The third one is where the water is pumped up. It comes to the top of the fish tank and goes into the fish tank, and then drains down and comes out of the fish tank at the base and goes back into the raft via a Venturi type outlet, just to ensure that the level in the fish tank remains high, remains constant. So those are the 2 systems that we have running. They are both media bed technique systems, and they both are running with rafts. The rafts enable leafy plants like lettuce to extract soluble nutrients from the water that has not been removed from the system by plants in the media beds. So the rafts also enable us to position our fish tank above the ground, because they act simultaneously as a sump. And yeah, that's pretty much the development that we've been involved in the last couple of weeks here at HPA, and really revving up for summer. This grow bed is flushing quite heavily now. Water from this tank is rushing down and coming down into, you can hear it more than you can see it. So there we have it.